In question 2, the function g is defined by g of x equals to x square minus 6x plus 7 for x greater than 4. By first completing the square, we have to find an expression for g inverse and state the domain of g inverse. Now, if we have to complete the square, what we do is first, the expression is x square minus 6x plus 7. So we write x square minus 6x in the brackets and write 7 outside. Now taking half of b, which is 6 in this case, and the coefficient of x squared is already 1. So we'll add and subtract half of b squared. So half of b is 3. So this we'll add 3 squared over here. And as we added 3 squares, we'll have to subtract the same amount from the expression. So this will become minus 3 squared plus 7. Now x squared minus 6x plus 3 whole squared is basically x minus 3 whole squared. And minus 3 squared plus 7. So minus 9 plus 7 becomes a plus 2. So minus 9 plus 7 is a minus 2. So this is g of x after completing the square. Now to find f inverse, we first write y in place of the function. So in this case, the function is g of x. So this will become y equals to x minus 3 whole squared minus 2. Now changing the values of x and y, this will become x equals to y minus 3 whole squared minus 2. Taking 2 on the left hand side, we'll get x plus 2 is equals to y minus 3 whole squared. Now taking the square root on both the sides, so we'll get y minus 3 is equals to the square root of x plus 2. And finally, taking 3 on the other side, so we'll get y equals 2 plus 3, and this will become plus minus square root of x plus 2. So we can write that the expression for g inverse of x will be equals to 3 plus square root of x plus 2. Now, we also have to state the domain of g, which means we have to find this x value. Now, whatever x value we take over here, this whole function, the g inverse function, must be greater than 4. As the domain of f, the original function g of x was x greater than 4, it means we need to find a value of x for which this whole function will be greater than 4. So to find the x value, we can write it as 3 plus x plus 2 must be greater than 4. So we can take 3 on the left hand side, and this will become x plus 2 is greater than 1. Taking the square on both the sides, we'll get x plus 2 is greater than 1. So x will be greater than 1 minus 2, which is minus 1. So the domain for g inverse will be x greater than minus 1. However, even we just by looking at the expression, we can see that 3 plus this number must be 1 or more. So taking minus any value less than minus 1 would result in this becoming less than 1, and the range of this g inverse function will become less than 4. And as the domain of the original function was greater than 4, it means this whole function g inverse of x must be greater than 4. So for only values of x greater than minus 1, g inverse of x will be greater than 4. So the domain of g inverse will be x greater than minus 1.